When life feels confusing, unfair, or painful, that's when your faith is tested the most. In this powerful 10-minute message, a wise man shares the deep truth about trusting God, even in the darkest, most uncertain times. Through stories, lessons, and heartfelt reflection, this video will help you find peace, purpose, and clarity when life doesn't make sense. If this message touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wisdom and encouragement every week. Comment below, what's one moment when you had to trust without understanding? There are moments in life when nothing makes sense. The job you worked so hard for suddenly disappears. The person you loved walks away. The prayer you whispered night after night still feels unanswered. And in those moments, when your heart is heavy and your mind is full of why, there's only one thing I've learned to do: trust God. Even when nothing makes sense, it's not easy. Faith is not a feeling, it's a decision. I remember a time when I had lost everything. Years ago, I was in a place where I thought I had it all figured out. A growing business, a clear plan, a future I could almost touch. Then one thing after another fell apart. Unexpected losses, failed opportunities. People I trusted turned their backs. At one point, I looked up to the sky and said, "God, where are you? I don't understand." And I didn't, not then, not for a long time. But now, looking back, I see that God wasn't absent. He was aligning. You see, trusting God doesn't mean life will go your way. It means believing. He sees more than you do. Like a parent holding a child back from danger, God sometimes closes doors not to punish you, but to protect you. He removes what you wanted so he can prepare what you truly need. I didn't know it then, but the things I lost were making space for the peace I'd been unknowingly praying for. When life doesn't make sense, we want answers. But often God gives us growth instead. Think of Joseph, sold by his brothers, thrown into prison for doing the right thing. Years of confusion, pain, injustice. But in time, he was placed in a position of power that saved millions. The suffering wasn't meaningless, it was preparation. You might be in a chapter right now where all you see is darkness. But don't forget, every story has scenes that only make sense in hindsight. Sometimes God delays to develop you. Sometimes he says not yet to strengthen your patience. Sometimes the pain you're experiencing is breaking chains you didn't even know were holding you. Mommy, don't need one. Your understanding is limited. You can only see a piece of the puzzle, but God sees the full picture. He's not ignoring your pain. He's holding the outcome in his hands. 2, silence is not absence. Just because you don't hear God doesn't mean he's not working. A teacher is always silent during the test, but that doesn't mean they've left the room. 3, surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of control. You're not weak for trusting God. You're wise. I once met a woman who lost everything in a house fire. She stood outside watching all her memories go up in smoke. When I asked her later how she stayed so calm, she said something I'll never forget. I lost everything I had, but not the one who brought me through before. If he did it once, he'll do it again. That's the kind of trust that transforms a soul. Not blind faith, but remembered faith. So what do you do when life doesn't make sense? You pause, you breathe, you stop trying to figure it all out, and you lean into the one who already has it figured out. You don't have to understand everything to trust God. You just need to remember how far he's already brought you. Think about it. All those nights you didn't think you'd survive, you did. Not because you were strong, but because he carried you through. Let these truths guide you. God's delays are not his denials. What feels like rejection is often redirection. And your confusion now could be the beginning of your greatest breakthrough later. Trust is not about having all the answers. It's about knowing who holds them. So even if the path is unclear, even if the pain is deep, even if the prayers feel unanswered, keep walking, keep trusting, keep believing. God is not finished with your story. He's still writing, and he writes the best endings. Some people think trusting God means you'll never feel afraid. That's not true. I've felt afraid. I've questioned. I've cried when no one was watching. But here's the thing. Faith is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. Trust doesn't mean you'll always feel strong. It means you know where to turn when you feel weak. There was a season in my life when I felt like I had nothing left to give, not just financially or physically, but spiritually. I was worn down, burned out. I remember standing in the rain one day, praying out loud, "God, I'm tired of holding it together." And in that quiet moment, I didn't hear a voice, but I felt a peace come over me like a warm blanket in the cold. I realized I was never meant to hold it all together. That was never my job. My job was to trust, to show up, to keep breathing, to keep doing the next right thing, even when I didn't understand the outcome. There's a lesson I've learned again and again. Sometimes God allows a storm to show you what was never built on solid ground. It's hard to watch things fall apart, but what if they're falling into place? Sometimes He has to remove your plan to make room for His purpose. The mind and the heart. You know, your mind will scream logic. This doesn't add up. This isn't fair. This shouldn't be happening. But faith speaks from a deeper place, from the heart. It says, "This hurts, but I trust. This is unclear, but I'll keep walking. This is not what I planned, but maybe it's what I need." Trusting God is not about avoiding pain. It's about finding meaning through it. Have you noticed? Some of the most beautiful growth happens after the storm. The rain washes away what no longer serves you. The winds shake loose what was never rooted. In the silence afterward, that's where your spirit begins to rebuild. Not in fear, but in faith. 3 anchors for trusting God. When life hurts. 1. Remember the past. Go back to every moment you thought it was over, but somehow grace carried you through. 2. Focus on the present. God doesn't give strength for tomorrow today. He gives you daily bread. Enough for right now. 3. Let go of control. You're not failing by surrendering. You're stepping into the deeper current, the one where you don't need all the answers, only trust. I've seen it again and again. The marriage that looked broken, restored. The illness that felt unbearable, turned into testimony. The person who was lost came home. Why? Because God is never done. He's not finished with you either. I want you to imagine something. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with fear, doubt, control, anger, worry. Now slowly, one by one, you begin to let each weight fall to the ground. You don't have to carry it anymore. That's what trust feels like. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's simply saying, "God, I don't get it, but I'll walk with you anyway." I don't know what you're facing today. I don't know how heavy your heart feels, but I do know this: you are not forgotten. You are not unseen, and you are not walking alone. The pain may not make sense now, but one day you'll look back, and the pieces will form a picture you never could have imagined. So keep going, even if you're crawling, even if you're crying, even if you're confused. God is still God, even when life doesn't make sense. And He's writing a better ending than you could ever dream of. If this message gave you peace today, let it sit in your heart. Then do something with it. Don't just consume, connect. Like this video if it helps shift your perspective. Share it with someone in your life who needs to be reminded they're not alone. Subscribe for weekly life lessons, reflections, and moments of clarity. Comment below. What's one area of your life you're learning to surrender to God? Until next time, keep walking in faith. You are stronger, wiser, and more held than you know.